Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10. Additionally, from December 12th, 2019 through January 27th, 2020, if you use this promo code, you will automatically be entered into a drawing to win a Theros Beyond Death Draft Booster Box. Also, there is another way to enter where no purchase is necessary. See the link in the description below for full details. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another Theros Beyond Death Day of Previews. We're going to look at all the cards that came out over the last 24 hours or so. If you're curious as to which content creators previewed which cards, see the description below. All the information is down there. Also, as a quick reminder, if you go to FlipsideGaming.com and use that Heroes promo code, not only can you save as normal, but if you use it now, you can actually get put into a drawing to win a Theros Beyond Death Draft Booster Box. All the details are also in the description below, and whenever you use that promo code, it does support the channel, so thank you. And without any further ado, let's get into it. First things first, though, we are going to look at cards that we saw yesterday, so if you want to hear my thoughts on these cards, check out yesterday's video. I'll link it at the end here. But we saw the regular versions of these cards yesterday. Today, they did show us the ones you would find in collector boosters. This is Wave Break, Hippocamp, Nylea's Intervention, and Pelucranos Unchained. Alright, on to the new stuff. Archon of Falling Stars. This is okay for limited. It's going to be good if you have some strong enchantment creatures. It will be really good if you happen to have a god. Otherwise, if you don't have a lot of good targets for this, it's a 4/4 flyer, which is just fine, definitely. But it does cost you 6, and a lot of times if we're talking 6 mana, you might have better things in your pool, and you can't run all your 6 drops all the time, right? So there are card pools in Drafter Sealed where this might not make your cut. Also want to point out there's 2 white in the casting cost, which would be good for White Devotion, and that might be another reason you lean towards playing this. Dawn Evangel, good limited card here. It's a 2/3 for 3, which normally I would say is a pretty good curve filler anyway, but then there's upside here too. It's an enchantment creature, so that could matter. And the ability is interesting because, notice it says, whenever a creature dies, if an aura you controlled was attached to it, return target creature card with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard to your hand. It doesn't say you have to control the creature, so there might be situations where you put an aura on an opponent's creature, that creature dies, and then you trigger the ability. For example, if they have some kind of card in here that gives the creature -X/-X in enchantment form, kind of like a dead weight, then that could be a removal spell that's also giving you more value because this is on the battlefield. It will be interesting to see what other cards in the format will play well with this. Omen of the Sun, yet another good limited card here, this one at common, so they'll come up relatively frequently. And what I like about this one is you can use it as a combat trick. Opponent attacks in, white and 2, you got yourself 2 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens on the battlefield. You also gain 2 life, which if you're lucky enough to have Heliod, then wonderful, but maybe there's some other cards in the set that will care about life gain. I guess we'll see as the week goes on. Now, above and beyond that, this is also an enchantment, which could matter. Could go towards devotion if it's just sitting on the battlefield doing nothing. And at some point, you can cash it in to scry 2. Yeah, overall, a lot of good value here for Drafter Sealed. Pious Wayfarer. Not too excited about this one for Drafter Sealed. Sure, it's only a 1-drop, but you might just have better 2-drops or maybe even other 1-drops that you might be interested in. So here's the thing. Maybe I would consider playing this if I did have a lot of enchantments, especially enchantment creatures. But if I wasn't very, very heavy on that, I probably wouldn't even consider this. It will most of the time sit in your sideboard in Drafter Sealed. This one's an Italian language preview, Calife Beloved of the Sea. This is a good limited card. Here's what I like about it. It's a 3 casting cost X and 3, where the X is based on your devotion. Now, with this on the battlefield, it's at least 2. So right there, I feel like, okay, fine curve filler if nothing else was written on this card. But it could be a lot bigger power-wise anyway, if you have other blue cards in play. And if that's the case, a lot of times this could trade up in combat. That alone gets me pretty interested when it comes to Drafter Sealed. Beyond that, it's also an enchantment, which could matter. The 2 blue devotion might work well with other cards that care about how much blue devotion you have. And that second ability, at worst, is going to be annoying. Actually, it could slow down your opponent a little bit, make them really think about their plays in the middle portion of the game, and there's nothing wrong with that. Shimmerwing Chimera. I really like this card for Drafter Sealed a lot. As a matter of fact, in draft, I could see myself picking this uncommon pretty high. Here's what's cool about it. 4 casting costs for a 3/2 flyer. I like those stats already. It's also an enchantment, which could play well with other things. And the ability is real good too. At the beginning of your upkeep, return up to 1 other target enchantment you control to its owner's hands. You don't have to do it. It's up to 1, which is nice. But this plays really well with the omens. We just saw the white one a few moments ago. But being able to cast an omen, bring it back to your hand, play it again, you get that ability more than one time throughout the game. That's pretty cool. Also, this will let you reset a saga. So if it's like halfway through and you want to take it back to your hand and replay it, there you go. You might get some more value out of those cards as well. There's a lot of cool things I think you're going to be able to do with this card in Drafter Sealed. Here's your last monocolor god, Thassa, Deep Dwelling, and this is another really sweet one. They really knocked it out of the park with all of these. This is going to cost you a blue and 3, legendary enchantment creature god, 6/5, mythic of course, indestructible. As long as your devotion to blue is less than 5, this isn't a creature. At the beginning of your end step, exile up to 1 other target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under your control. And pay a blue and 3, tap another target creature. So later in the game, you just keep tapping down your opponent's creatures. Early in the game, you could do it if you're in trouble, but definitely later, this could get you past a board stall in Limited. So speaking of Limited, this is a bomb, and it should be. I mean, it's a mythic god. It better be really good, right? And obviously, if you have creatures with good enters the battlefield effects, wonderful. If you don't, who cares? This is still amazing. There's other cards in the set that we've seen that can tap down cards as well, so you might be able to use this in conjunction with some other cards in Limited, and maybe someone might think of something to do interesting with these cards in Standard. Remember, Gadwick the Wizened is out there already. Add that to some of these new cards, I don't know, maybe there's a build there. I do think the more powerful part of this card, though, is the flicker effect. When it comes to Standard, that's really what's going to push this into the format, I think. Imagine playing this with Charming Prince or Elite Guard Mage, for example. I think that could be a start to a very viable Standard brew. Also notice the card is worded in such a way that if you took control of an opponent's creature with something like Claim the Firstborn, you could actually choose to flicker that creature at your end step, and you would keep control of it. I thought that was kind of fun. Beyond that, it is notable that the card says exile up to 1 other target creature, so if you don't want to flicker something, you don't have to if it's not to your advantage. Commander players, if you like flicker effects, I got a card for you. You could throw this into your Brago deck, or you could just build around this because it is legendary. Here's another part of that intervention cycle with Erebos' intervention. This is good. Instant speed, 1 black and X, you get to choose 1. Target creature gets -X until end of turn, and you gain X life. Good way to deal with indestructible creatures like gods, for example. Or you can use the other option here, exile up to twice X target cards from graveyards. So if your opponent has escape cards in their graveyard, or maybe just Cauldron Familiar, this is a way to deal with those problems. I think this is actually main deckable in Standard. I would go as far as to say this also might see some Pioneer play. For Drafter Sealed, if you're lucky enough to get this rare, go for it because this is going to be premium removal for you. Or again, it could just be an answer to Escape. This one's an Italian language preview, loosely translated Saprophage Harpy. This is a fine limited common. I don't have a ton to say about it. A 2/1 for 3 in the air. A lot of times I'll play it just for those stats. But the ability could be very relevant too, considering there's escape cards out there in the environment. Timuret, Chosen from Death. Let's talk limited first with this one. I think this is another really solid card at uncommon. It costs 2 black. You get yourself minimally a 2/2. A lot of the time the toughness will be higher because that is based on your devotion to black. On top of that, it adds 2 to the battlefield for black devotion. And it's an enchantment, which could matter. And it hoses escape, which I think will be a pretty popular mechanic that you'll see a lot of. Put it all together and I think you have another relatively high uncommon draft pick. Could this see Standard play? Maybe out of sideboards to deal with graveyards if it's necessary. The other thing I was thinking, maybe there's a Standard deck out there. Start off with this, throw in Kaya Orzhov Usurper. Maybe that's the beginning of a build. Lastly, I could see this as a Pioneer sideboard card since it is a black version of Scavenging Ooze in some ways. Omen of the Forge, another really good limited common here. I like the limited cards we've been getting today. I know there's been less cards for Standard in this video, but there's been some solid cards for Drafter Sealed, and this is another one. This has Flash, it deals 2 damage to any target for 2, and then later on you can scry as well. Plus it has the other upsides that these things have, the fact that they are an enchantment, and the fact that they can sit there and just be counted towards devotion if necessary. Here's a Spanish language preview, Phoenix of Ash. Now here's a card you'll play in Standard, maybe even Pioneer. This one's good. Okay, 3 casting cost, Flying Haste. Red and 2, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So it has that built-in like super fire breathing. Escape, 2 red and 2, exile 3 other cards from your graveyard, which isn't really asking too much for Escape. And when it escapes, it comes in with a +1/+1 counter, making it a 3/3 instead of a 2/2. Yeah, this is a good card. Anytime you have a flyer where you can pump the power, that's something to pay attention to. And in this case, even if it trades with something, you have the opportunity later to take it back, and it comes back bigger if it comes from the graveyard with escape. So in Standard, I do think you'll see this in mono red decks, maybe with some burn backup to populate the graveyard. And like I said, Pioneer too, it would not shock me if it shows up in that format. Limited, it's going to be a bomb there. If you have a chance to play with this rare, go for it. The Triumph of Annex. Okay, so this is another saga. And this is going to be good in Limited, especially in the late game. It could help you pull ahead if there's a board stall, and I'm always looking for cards that can do that. It might be awkward if you draw this too early, though. I mean, eventually, sure, you'll get to fight something, hopefully, and that's not nothing. But you really want to play this later in the game when you can truly take advantage of the 1/2/3 ability there. Gruul might be most interested in this because they care the most about large creatures from what we've seen so far. I do think, though, this is always going to be playable in Drafter Sealed. It might come up at an awkward time, but you always want to have some way to get past board stalls, and this will definitely help you there. This one's a German language preview, loosely translated, The First Iroanian Games. Okay, so there's a lot happening here for 3 mana. It's a rare saga, so you should expect some value, and you do get it. Create a 1/1 human soldier creature token first. Number 2, put 3 +1/+1 counters on target creature you control. 3, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw 2 cards, so this will replace itself and then go another card deeper. And 4, create a gold token, which is a little ramp and color fixing, but it also is nice flavor. Ultimately, in Drafter Sealed, yeah, I'll play this, and I think it's going to be great most of the time. In Standard, maybe this goes into like a green stompy deck with Lovestruck Beast, Questing Beast. I feel like that's very possible. Hektos, the Unscarred. Okay, so I like the flavor here. It's kind of like Achilles with the weakness being a 6/1. But still a powerful warrior. The card just gets stranger from there, though. 2 red, 2 white, legendary creature, human warrior, rare, 6/1. This attacks each combat if able. When this enters the battlefield, choose 2, 3, or 4 at random. This then has protection from each converted mana cost other than the chosen number. Okay, now that's converted mana cost, so not just creatures, spells as well. That's kind of interesting. But it is, like I said, high variance. So can you rely on this card? Well, look at it this way. In a vacuum, you have a forecasting cost creature, and if you happen to hit 4, if nothing else is involved in the game, and you're just looking at the battlefield, then, yeah, at least it's only going to trade with another 4-drop, or hopefully, if everything goes well, it will trade up. If everything goes really well, this card gets to attack, and there is no 4-drop to block it in this example. If I'm playing Drafter Sealed, though, and let's say I hit a 2, alright, now I know my opponent's going to have a lot of 2-drops. That's not going to feel really good. I don't want my 4 trading for a 2. One other thing at play here, I suppose, is the Devotion. This does bring 2 white and 2 red to the battlefield. What could have really helped this card is if you were able to enchant it or put some equipment on it to buff it. The problem is you don't know what converted mana cost this will not have protection from when you put it in your deck. So it's really hard to build around the card. Ultimately, I think this is too high variance to use in Standard, and even though I would like to try it in limited games, I don't even know if it would make my cut there, honestly. Okay, those are the cards for today. Now, tomorrow we're going to do our Magic the Gathering Market Watch video like we do every Saturday, so we're not going to do previews tomorrow, but on Sunday we're going to come back and cover any cards that come out between now and then. Until next time, though, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.